So your Clouser's been in the making since early 70s.
Little bits of it, yeah. Every little thing that's gone into this fly has been started through the whole progression of saltwater striper flies around here. Uh,
It's crazy. It's like looking at your mind.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's like any other fly. We just start with thread on a hook. And by the way, we're using monofilament thread. Start with the thread base. Start with the eyes. So these are just brass dumbbell eyes. So I'll do a series of crisscross wraps and then go around the entire base of the crisscross wraps. That locks it into place pretty well. Part of the basis of this fly is all the materials folded on. There's nothing that's just tied in directly usually. So this Norvise, the measurement from there to there is the perfect size for the 1/0 fly that we tie. So I use the vise to measure the fly. About 3 loose wraps on there and then tighten it up. And then take this mylar material we're using, it's Flashaboo 6909, and I'll just wrap it in. Tie it all the way to where the hook starts to bend. And you get the trim right there, so the tail's all the same length. I don't know how important that is, but it seems to fish better if all these materials are cut square. And that's where the Norvise comes in. Now, usually this fly at this point, this is the first stage of this fly. This will be epoxied from here to here with a really slow setting epoxy. It's a 20-minute epoxy that I use. And it gets rotated until that epoxy dries. So after that stage, we're going to tie in the underwing, the lower wing of the fly. Hang on a second, I get some material here. The material for the wings on this fly are Flash and Slinky. So it's a white Slinky flash with a little bit of the Slinky material in it, which is it's just a flash. So the initial part of this tie is going to be, I have the thread started. So I go behind the eye, then I go in front of the eye, and it'll pull it in tight at that point. So it sucks it right up against the eyes. Then I'll do a couple of wraps behind the eye, then take this remaining material, and it'll be folded back over the top of that. About half a dozen good wraps there. Now, I'll trim this to taper the body. By trimming it, I'm just going to use a pair of real sharp scissors and just run the scissors along the material. And it'll give it a nice tapered look that way. We don't want this fly to be too blocky or square. Now, I made the mistake of putting red gills on a fish for Mike Costello. And ever since then, he wants them on all his flies. So I just do it for everybody now. So this material is an Adjamis brush. It's a Puglisi product. So it's a woven, it's got a steel, there's a steel wire that this stuff is run through. It just turns it into just a big hackle. Okay, so we'll take it, tie it down, and bend it into a V, like that. Take that V and then a couple loose wraps like you do in deer hair, right? So then I'll pull this up a little bit so I get the right length. I'll kind of measure that. If I wanted, I usually like them a little shorter than that, about the length of the body. And then half a dozen good wraps on that. And trim that off. So that would be stage 2 of this fly. Now, at that point, I'll take this part of the fly and epoxy that. So it gives it a nice solid base and kind of locks the eyes in a little better too when you do that. So from here, stage 3 of this fly would be doing the overwing of this fly. This is like, this coloration is the fly that we started out with. Chartreuse. Chartreuse back with a gray center on it. And I think I got that from Mike. That was one of his original colors that he liked. So, tie in the material. Just like we do everything else. We fold everything. It's tied on one side of the fly now. Now I'm going to take it pulled over to the other side of the fly. Tie that down. And then trim it. I'll trim it like I trimmed the other wing too. Just kind of drag my scissors across there. It gives it a nice little taper. The underwing, this middle wing of the fly is going to support the upper wing. So you want it to be on both sides of the fly. It's going to be like that. So it gives it a flare and gives it a third dimension too. Gives it some diameter. And the final color of this wing is going to be chartreuse. And to taper this material, I'll take it and twist it a little bit with my fingertips so that material gets lengthened. Is that showing up?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll bring it back in here then. Yeah, so I'll twist the material with my finger and taper the material a little bit. So we'll tie that portion down to the length that I want. The length is right short of the flash. So that material gets tied in and then folded back over the top. This style of tying the wing where it's folded instead of just tying clumps of material in, I first got it from Andy Pouillon over at Creative Sports. There was a famous tyer up on the Klamath River, Ed Haas, and he would fold the wings back on his flies. He had beautiful little heads on his flies, where the material would compress really well when you folded the material over. So it gives you a fairly compact head for the amount of material you're putting in. So once that's done, you just whip finish it. And that is the completed fly.